So people ask me, how did I get these watches? And the answer is simple. You either stay in line for 16 hours, hoping that you can get the ones that you want, or you can pay over retail for them, which I highly don't recommend. Hey everyone, it's Chris from the Clicky Bezel, and today we're gonna be talking all about the MoonSwatch. Now, a little bit of story time before we talk about this specific MoonSwatch. I actually have another one here. It's the Moon and the Uranus that we have in hand today. I'm gonna talk about my story on how I even heard about the MoonSwatch. A couple days prior to the launch, I saw a bunch of leaked images. There were some like renderings that were out already. I thought it was fake, but at the same time, I was pretty sure that it was real. Just by looking at the registers, why would the registers be in a different spot rather than in the same spot as the original Speedmaster, just with the Swatch logo on the dial? And it wasn't about maybe a day or two before where a buddy of mine told me, hey, you're out in SF, are you gonna get the new MoonSwatch? And I was like, the MoonSwatch? Then it clicked, and it happened to be that watch that I saw on Instagram. So luckily, I'm not too far away from that specific Swatch boutique. So I was curious, I wanted to see what the watch was about. So the day before, I heard that they had the watches there on display. I headed over there just to check it out, and I saw it on the display case, and they were all there. One of the Swatch managers inside of the store, a really nice guy, and he told us that the store is going to be opening at 8 a.m. in the morning on opening day, around 150 pieces for sale. I was like, oh, okay, 150 pieces, you know, I think everyone in line should be able to get one. Okay, there seems to be lines. 5 o'clock, there's around 40 people in line. So it was either camp there or not have a MoonSwatch for a while. And my gut just told me just to stay in that line. So I did. I set up camp, packed some food to hold me over for about 15 hours or so. So I already knew that this watch was gonna create a lot of buzz and probably have a huge line. In my mind, I was thinking maybe, I don't know, 100 to maybe tops 250 people. It was for a few hours when I was there in the morning. But it wasn't until maybe 8 in the morning when the store opened, I looked behind me, and to my eyes, it looked like some Supreme drop that was going on. Even though I've never been to a Supreme drop, I just seen photos of it. Yeah, there was probably about 1,000 people. I mean, I knew it was gonna be a huge deal, this watch, but not to that extent. And we did it. So, got these 2 boxes here. So now let's get into the experience of what it's like to own the MoonSwatch. Unfortunately, the day before, I couldn't have hands-on experience with the MoonSwatch, but just by looking at the watch itself, what got to me was the scale of the watch. I mean, it's basically a 1-to-1 scale of an Omega Moonwatch. What I was worried about was how was it like in hand in terms of how does the plastic feel? Because I never had experience with their bioceramic material. And I was also worried about how the chronograph would function, even though I know the movement inside the MoonSwatch is probably their off-the-shelf Swatch movements that they use inside of their own chronograph watches. Let me just say the action on it is very satisfying. It's very clicky, which I like. It's a proper chronograph. Let's talk about the strap. The strap is very nice. It's branded the Speedmaster, and I think the only gripe I have about the strap is this little buckle part right here. So as you feed it through, once it's on your wrist, depending how large or small your wrist is, or just how it wears on your wrist and your bone, this part tends to stick out a lot, which I guess it doesn't really bother me much, but sometimes it can get in the way. It can probably snag on something. And also the Velcro part will definitely snag on it. If you have a smaller wrist, it's gonna overhang off of it. From the reviews that I've read beforehand, people are saying that's just complete trash. And even though it's not the most highest quality strap, it's actually pretty decent. It's not too bad. So I was also worried about if I could change the straps out on these guys, because I know Swatch has their own proprietary straps that Swatch uses on their pieces. And luckily, this is like any other watch, uses basic spring bars that are pretty decent and easy to change out. And as you can see here, I just swapped it on a gray Bond NATO over here. It's a good look. It's nice. It's easy to play around with. I'm sure it's gonna be a strap monster like every single genuine Moon watch outside of there. So I've been living with this watch for about a week now, and it hasn't left my wrist. And so far, I'm not the one that's very light on my watches. I tend to use it quite a bit. And unfortunately, from what I've heard from people at the Swatch store, the acrylic on these guys isn't as robust as, like, let's say their first generation System 50 ones, which I do own personally, and it's all scratched up, but it kind of took some time to scratch that up. On this Swatch, I kind of scuffed it up on the corner over here, but it's okay. Just pop some poly watch on there and it looks like a brand new watch. In terms of like dents and scratches on the cases, so far there's nothing. Like, everything looks great. All right, let's go into some of the pros of this watch. One of the pros, it's $260. I know it's really hard to get right now. Once it becomes more available online, I think it's gonna be a good buy. For those of you that find it hard to pull the trigger on a MoonWatch, I think this is a great stepping stone into what it feels like. I mean, I know it's not stainless steel, you're not gonna get the heft and true feel of a MoonWatch, but I would say it's about 50% there. I mean, the shape is almost identical to the MoonWatch, and on the wrist, sometimes you forget just by taking a quick glance at it that it's a MoonSwatch, that it's a Swatch in general, because it is their bioceramic material. It's very comfortable to wear on the wrist, especially if you have it on another strap, like such as this NATO. You kind of forget that it's there on your wrist, which is pretty cool. Another thing that impressed me is the printing on the dial. Like, I was surprised how pronounced and clear it is, considering that it is a $260 watch from Swatch. Yeah, in terms of the cons of the watch, I don't think there's that much. If I'm really nitpicking, if you find yourself in a quiet room, like in an office with not that many people inside of the building, you'll hear the ticking. That doesn't really bother me because I can just tune that out easily, but I know some people, it really bothers them. You know, but that's some part of the case design. There's no insulation whatsoever with this bioceramic plastic. I guess another con would probably be the acrylic that is just not very strong at resisting scratches. But like I said, you can always just buff that out later with some poly watch. And probably the biggest con about this watch is that it's just really hard to get right now. There's absurd prices that these watches are selling for, but you know, who's really buying that? Who's really buying these watches for that price? It's a $260 Swatch. When they end up being available, kind of like with the situation with the Timex Q, for the year since its release, it was like a really hard piece to get. Hopefully it's not the case with this watch. Hopefully it will be available, like they said, within the next couple months online. I don't know, it's all rumors at this moment. If you can get your hands on one of these for $260, it is an excellent buy, and I think you'll be super satisfied with owning a MoonSwatch. So my take on these watches is that they're super fun watches, and it's kind of like those watches where it's okay to buy more than one. As you can see, I bought two, and I plan on buying a couple more as well. And I just like what Swatch is doing for the watch industry in general. They're putting back the fun in watch collecting. It just got a little too serious for a little bit. And the fact that they came out with 11 different colors kind of puts that mindset in people where they have that urge to collect all of them. That basically sums up my thoughts about the MoonSwatch. So I have a question for you guys. Are you willing to stay in line for 16 hours for this watch? Or are you even willing to pay more than retail for these pieces? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, if you guys haven't subscribed already, feel free to subscribe down below for more watch reviews and comparisons, and maybe a long-term review. Maybe I'll come back and see how it holds up for another month. So in the meantime, this is Chris from the Clicky Bezel, and we'll see you next time.